right. Hello and welcome to the More Than Mindset Show. This show is all about an integrative approach to improve health, wealth, and relationships. What we focus on more than anything else is breaking generational cycles and creating new ways of being for ourselves, for generations to come. We are rewriting, we're actually writing our new future. I am Kim Gary, an integrative mind-body coach and business mentor for healing focused entrepreneurs. And my co-host is Linda, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Linda Richard, integrative relationship and intimacy coach. And I work with people on, again, breaking those generational cycles and creating healthy relationships so we can pass that on to our kids so they can create the same thing in their lives.
Okay, so I'll just tell you a little bit about how this show is going to roll. So Linda and I will be discussing discipline. Is that correct? Did we get it right this week? Success comes from, success is the byproduct of discipline. So we're going to be talking about success habits and what we do in our personal lives, and also what our clients do, what we use, the approach that we use in our community. So we'll probably go 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to open the stage for anyone to come up and ask questions, ask for coaching. We're both coaches, or anything that you want feedback on, or maybe even knowing a little bit more about our process. So let's go ahead and get started. Linda, is there anything that I missed before we go from here?
No, I think we got it all. And I love that this topic covers the entire life, because you have success, the ability to achieve success in your health, in your financial situations, your career, your parenting, and your spirituality. It's really so broad, and it makes such a difference if you know the habits to create a successful life.
What is success to you?
Success to me is creating the life that brings you happiness and joy, doing the things you want to do, being the person you want to be. To me, success isn't an end game, a spot you get to. It's what you keep creating over and over. Success isn't an ending. It's continuous. It's continuous.
When I think about success, I think about satisfaction, and actually having, like, one of the big things that comes up to me when I think about monetary success is being financially secure, if there is such a thing, in a way that the finances can provide for all of the things that I want to experience in my life. So I think of success as opportunity. Like, how can we create a life or set up a structure in our life that will make available the things that we want? So to be able to have the time, to have the people that I want to do it with, to have the money, the resources that I want to do it. And all along, like the whole entire path of that, feeling satisfied. Because that's a big thing, is the fulfillment and the satisfaction, I think, is what I narrow down success.
Absolutely. And I love that you said opportunity, because I was thinking about this today as I was leaving the gym, how I always talk about my amazing marriage, but my amazing marriage is not a perfect marriage. But what I do have in my marriage is the opportunity to communicate my needs, my feelings, my emotions. And even though things may upset me or may upset my husband, we take it as an opportunity to come together, communicate, and create something better for our relationship. And that, I think, is success in a marriage, is having the opportunities and the ability to co-create the relationship.
Yeah, we were talking, so Mallory is here today, my assistant, and she was a little afraid to stay by herself, you know what I mean? And so she followed me home while I was getting ready, and my husband came back from the gym. And we were having a conversation, and Mallory was saying, "Oh, we need a big counter like this at the gym. I mean, at the office that has plug-ins, so we can have a workstation." And I was like, "I just told Keith that we needed something like what was at the coffee shop, this community table." And he says, "Look, just get me the details. Measure it out. Tell me exactly what you need." And I was like, "That's success." It took 30, this month will be 32 years. It took all of these years for us to be able to communicate in a successful way so that we can actually have a better end game. Like, that's success. I think that's success.
For sure.
Learning how to have conversations with people that we love, learning how to be transparent, how to be direct. Oh my God, direct. whenever we're talking about relationships, men are direct. Well, most men are just naturally direct, and we just like beat around the bush. And it has created, and it's because they're lacking the transparency. And the reason that we aren't transparent is because we have shame.
And overcoming that and making that a habit to speak your mind, it does take discipline because it's so uncomfortable because of the potential of rejection, whether it's your partner or a client or, your kids, no matter what it is, like being who you want to be and showing up as who you want to show up as and doing the things you want to do. It can be scary to put that out because of that rejection or potential rejection. You don't know what's going to happen until you do it. So getting in the habit of showing up and saying what you mean and what you want on a consistent basis, that does take discipline, because we may do it once or twice, and then that next time when we get rejection, we may not want to keep doing it.
Well, I don't think we would be able to, and I put that in the little cookie, the little fortune cookie thing, is the byproduct. Like success is the byproduct of the discipline.
Right.
Like seriously, we unless we learn to master discipline, unless we learn to master our mind and to be able to lead it in the direction that we want to achieve something. Like I have to remind myself of that, even like in that relationship, in that conversation, it could have gone so many different ways, but the discipline of keeping my mouth shut until I am very clear about the message that I want to relay in the right way, because I'm emotionally driven. And so if I say it through emotion, then he has a response to that emotion. And now we got a cat fight going on, right? It's like you said, he said, it's like, this is, and that's how it's been. And we just get tangled up. And so it's a moment of breathing. I always say, squeeze the toes. Squeeze the toes drops me back into my body. And it's the discipline of waiting for the clarity in the conversation.
Yeah. And I find another thing in relationship wise anyways, like not having to be like, getting in the habit of not being in defense mode all the time. Like I shouldn't have to defend my ideas or my emotions or my opinion. I go into the conversation.
I'm trying to do it on the screen again.
I go in already prepared to defend myself. And that has taken such discipline on my part to go into it open to the fact or the possibility that he's going to be understanding. He's going to hear me out. There's not going to be a fight as a result of that. And I had a conversation with my husband this morning in regards to the girls through text. He's offshore working. And it was an example of that. He addressed me with something and I was able to not approach it in defense, but I had to check my brain first before I was able to respond, because my initial thought was, well, why would he say that? Why would he think that? And I wanted to defend my stance. But I allowed myself, okay, you don't need to defend what you said or what you did. Just be open to view it from his perspective. And I did. And the conversation was amazing. And it opened both of our eyes. But it wouldn't be possible if I wasn't or disciplined myself to always take pause before responding to him. Because used to, I just whatever was on my mind in that moment, that was what was going out through text or coming out of my mouth, because that's just how I was. I wasn't disciplined. My mouth was not disciplined and my brain was not disciplined.
Well, we're emotionally driven.
Yes.
And we're the sensations in your body, you're feeling the discomfort and you want to get rid of it. And so It's like that of the discipline to stay and experience it all the way through. So then we never get the lessons because we're always just like giving it to someone else to try to get rid of it. Right. And so I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to get my end game, to get my goals met, because I was believing everything that my mind was telling me. And my mind was telling me things that my past had told me, that my environment had told me. It had nothing to do with me, who I am, what I can achieve, how I can be successful. It was everything to do with everyone else's dialogue that I adopted. And I think we do the same thing in our relationships. We bring in, first of all, the assumption of what we think they're going to say. We start to defend immediately. So our story out the gate is kind of like coming from the defense instead of inquiring, instead of curiosity, instead of questioning. So what would the exact steps of discipline look like in that situation when you wanted to be reactive or you wanted to say something it was going to cause some upheaval? What do you do specifically? Like in the moment?
in the moment, first it's recognize what's coming up in me, like the frustration or anger of why he wasn't seeing my side or seeing it from my perspective, and then to interrupt that thought, to like just to squash it for a second. I did not have to act on it immediately. There was not a need for an immediate response. So I interrupted that thought and I allowed myself to observe and see why he may have thought the way he thought. And when I put in those words that I said could have created that thought for him. And then with his perspective, even though his perspective wasn't the reality, I was able to see his perspective of it. So there wasn't a need to defense because I could be understanding. And then I could engage with him in a conversation and explain, I see how you could think that. But this is, this was just an innocent mistake in wording. It wasn't intentional to do what you thought I was doing. So just recognizing that conversation to clarify what's actually going on.
I love this because it's like when we look at the punchline approach, it's like presence, unveil, navigate. And you just made me think about a different C, which is curiosity instead of create.
Yeah.
I had that while we're editing the book. I love that. The first thing I notice is the sensation. So I notice I feel the trigger, and the trigger is the indication that, hold on. There's something going on here. I need to pause. That's when I squeeze my toes, drop into my body, and take a moment to give a second for that to just kind of downplay it for a moment so that I have access to making sense of what I'm about to do. It's like, hold on, walk away, step away, breathe. So I always detect the discomfort first. Mm-hmm. What am I about? I'm going to pounce. I'm going to attack. I'm going to run and hide. There's something I want to shut down. Like, are you better than to depend on you? Of course, you would have to say, like, all of that stuff starts coming out. And I'm like, 4, box breathing, the 4, inhale, exhale, and pause. And then let's try this again and say this differently, because I believe it's coming across the wrong way. That's what it's been for me. So we're going to just kind of wrap it up with this. And if anyone wants to come to the stage, raise your hand, come up. We'd love to hear your practice of discipline. And there is, if you look at the link, that's this fortune cookie going across, there's a link on there. I'm doing a challenge, which is all about discipline. It's called Get It Done Challenge. And of course, I'm all about business. Linda's all about relationship. And so I'm looking at, what do you want to get done in your business? Do you want to make more money? Do you want to help more people? Do you want to actually grow your business, get it off the ground? Do you want to scale it? And we will address the issues that come up and give you an exact framework practice that I use every single day. My coaches and clients use. I'll be discussing that on Sunday, 10 o'clock Central Time. And then we'll have a 3-day challenge just to help to implement it. I said we would extend it from there if anybody wanted to go longer, but I really like the 3-day, and then let's see how it goes. And then we can offer it again next month. So if you click on that link and join, it's free. And Linda and I will both be there. On Sunday, I will be explaining the framework. And so you'll have access to that. And then on Monday morning, we'll start together, and then I'll come on and do some support. And Linda, you might even be okay taking one of the calls. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about like discipline? I wouldn't have a business 27 years later if I wouldn't be disciplined. I wouldn't have my health if I wouldn't be disciplined. I wouldn't still be married if I wouldn't be disciplined.
Absolutely. And it's across the board. And I'm going to steal something you say all the time. How you do anything is how you do everything. So if you're not disciplined in your relationship, you're not going to be disciplined in your business, and vice versa. So if you're seeing the lack of discipline in one area, you can probably be sure you're not having discipline in the other. So just knowing that practicing the discipline in one area is going to automatically improve the discipline in the other.
Yeah. And we all want success. Seriously, no matter what your definition of it is, we all want success. So how can we help ourselves and each other be more successful? Because that's team humanity. Together, it's all together. Is there anyone here that wants to come up and speak, that wants to share any takeaways or maybe contribute to the conversation on how do you see success? What is the discipline practice that you have in your life that has success been a byproduct of your discipline? I'd love to hear from anyone who's in the audience. We have about 10 minutes, so we usually keep these pretty short, about 30 minutes. We're still new to Clubhouse, to Fireside. We're still new to Fireside. And this particular show really is about I don't know Linda, what would be your takeaway of what do we want the clients to get from this show? What do we want the participants to get?
From the discipline aspect.
Just the show in general, the More Than Mindset
Okay,
show,
yeah,
the
for
topic.
sure. So the more the mindset show, I would definitely say that we want the participants to walk away with a new perspective of how to view the world and interact and engage in their daily lives. Because once we can see things differently and we can feel things differently, and that's why I love the integrative approach, because it's not just changing the mindset. It's we become so aware of our body, of our surroundings, of every role that other people play into our lives, contributing to the way we think. It's just creating an awareness that allows us to embody and change our entire life. I just really think that that bigger perspective, that open perspective, is something that everybody would walk away from by watching this show.
Yeah, it's the transformation through the awareness.
Right.
And I don't know anyone that doesn't want to break generational cycles. Like we've all been conditioned by our upbringing, by our environments, by the marriages that we've been in,
For sure.
by society, by religious dogma, environmental patterning, all of it. Every one of us, we came in with like this empty brain, and then suddenly it gets filled by society, by the environment, by the family, by religion, by everyone else. And then we think that's us, and it's not us.
For
And
sure.
so that's my gift is, I want to reach millions of people with the message and the tools of personal transformation and self-healing. And I do that through helping health and wellness practitioners use this integrative approach to help their clients heal, to help their clients go deeper.
Yeah, and that the integrative approach, like getting me back into my body and back into a state of awareness, I was not even aware that my life and my relationships were creating the problems I was having with my kids and the people they were growing up to be. I wasn't even aware of that passing along the relationship habits at that point. And it wasn't until I gained that awareness and it was like, holy crap, like everybody needs to heal their relationships so that their kids can grow up healthy and have healthy relationships. Because without that, like that just keeps on adding the numbers to the divorces and the broken homes and the kids raised with one parents. And so it's just kind of like this cycle that just keeps going and going until we put a stop to it and we start the healing process. But before we can start the healing process, has to come the awareness.
Yeah, and that's something Linda and I both have in common. So I coach in business, she coaches in relationships, and we both use the integrative approach. And for myself, my story was growing up without a mom, and my dad was hardly ever there, and I didn't know what it was like to have a family. So as a little girl, I just like wished for a family. I wanted it. I wanted to, I didn't want to be alone. I was afraid. I didn't like not feeling like I belonged anywhere. And at 19 years old, I got pregnant, and his dad didn't claim him. So I was an unwed teenage mother. And when this kid was born, I put my hands on him and said, I'm breaking every cycle, every generational curse, every pattern that was brought in before, because I don't want this kid to suffer the way that I suffered. I was on my knees. He was a brand new baby. I was having a moment where I couldn't understand how my mom can leave me as a baby. I couldn't understand. I was like, I loved him so much. And my life ended that day. And I stepped into service and I said, God, help me to break this cycle. Help me to change this. Because I woke up from suicide. I couldn't imagine bringing a child into what I had been brought into and having that same lack of belonging and or connection or love or whatever it was. And then also bringing them into a broken family immediately. Like I was like, I don't want to repeat this. I was so desperate. And I ended up meeting my husband when he was 6 months old and my baby was 6 months old. He moved in, this guy moves in next door, and he has 3 kids and their mother left. And so we had 4 kids that were abandoned by a parent. And we have the most beautiful, gorgeous family now. We have 5 children. We have one together, and we have 12 grandbabies, and it's everything. And that's what I call success. Success is breaking the patterns, breaking the cycles, breaking the past, and creating something new.
Doing it different and doing it better. Yeah, for sure.
Is there anyone here who wants to come on stage and give feedback or share? You don't have to come on camera if you don't want to. You can just speak, or you can come on camera. We would love to hear from like your takeaway. What's been your experience? If discipline is a part of your life. Oh, great.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Do you want to come on camera, or you want to stay on voice?
I'll just say on voice,
Okay.
just because I'm doing something dangerous. I'm just kidding. No, I'm driving. I'm just driving, so obviously, like the less distraction, the better. But I just felt motivated to share, just because a lot of what listening to your conversation, a lot of what was said like resonates with me. Because in terms of like the breaking the generation patterns and stuff like that. So, oh well, first I should introduce. Hi, I'm Jocelyn.
Hi. Hi, Jocelyn.
Hello,
Thank you.
I'm based in Los Angeles, California. I am first generation American. My parents are foreign immigrants from the Philippines. They immigrated in the 1970s. And so it's just so interesting because I'm a comedian. I've been just brand new, like been doing it for about a year. And one of a joke that I kind of have is, or not really, or I'm working on it, is the fact that how I love how much I get to brag about being this proud American spawn for Filipino immigrants. I'm one of the lucky ones. That's because the bar for babies in the Philippines is set low, as in don't die. Talk about a low hanging fruit, probably a mango. But expand on that, my parents, their American dream didn't go beyond refuge, really. It didn't go beyond, providing a home for a family and raising kids, you know? And part of that joke, too, is just the fact that, you know, living is success for my parents, and
Right.
because I didn't really have much guidance in terms of like pursuing a career or a dream or anything like that. So taking on stand-up comedy has kind of just been I'm kind of like a black sheep of my family where I'm the youngest and stuff like that. So by their standard, I'm successful. Every day that I wake up and I'm breathing and I'm alive.
Oh, you're cutting out. You're in the matrix. Could be where you're driving to. I do love where you were going though, because we are the product of that environment. We become what we see, we become what we experience. And if we haven't had the example of something more, we got to break that paradigm.
No, exactly that. No, exactly that. Where it's like I never even considered being my own boss or starting my own business. But then now that I'm taking on this, being a comedian thing, it's you kind of have to do it on your own. And so that's just opening up a whole lot of doors of opportunity and like possibility for me. And so, yeah, and this came at a great time. And historically, I've been good at discipline, but somehow I've lost it recently. So I'm ready to tap back into it. But
You
thank you
should
for having
totally
me.
come to the challenge. Come to the challenge. I have the best framework. I'm telling you, they are killing it. You should totally check it out. It's free.
I checked.
Come and hang out with us.
That's the link on the fortune cookie.
Yeah, the fortune cookie that's like streaming across. If you just hit that link, I don't know if there's another way to post it. Linda, can you click on it? I'm scared to touch
Yeah,
my
you can
phone,
click on it.
by the way, because that's what what that actual challenge is. It's the most amazing, simple. I call it simplical. It's simple, it's practical, and it applies no matter what your circumstance is. Right. We have
And
one
you're
more.
both on. Are you both on Clubhouse too?
Yeah, we're on
Or
Clubhouse. We're on Facebook. We're on
okay,
Instagram.
I'm on Clubhouse too. That's actually where I actually started doing stand up sitting down on
Oh, fun.
Clubhouse, and it's been a pleasure because it's global audience, big reach. But then I recently just heard some not great things being said about me, so I'm trying to be disciplined, and I'm actually
That
trying to be
means
opposite.
that means you're successful. Hold on. If there's something saying negative about you, you've done it. You're there.
Oh
Yay!
no! Okay,
Congratulations.
I know that's what they say. Like
It comes with the
haters.
territory. Yeah, but it does. It just does.
Thank
Congratulations.
you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for chiming in and coming on stage. I really appreciate it. We got 2 minutes left. Is it Christian?
Yes, it
Christian?
is.
Yes, Kristen.
Christian
Hi.
Diaz. Hello, how you guys doing? It's an absolute
Good.
pleasure. The Dawson's story is very relatable. I also come from a first generation, from immigrant parents, and shout out to your comedy career. I hope it really blossoms out there. Keep making the way. In all seriousness, really being having that mindset starts young. I remember I'm 25 now, but being 6 years old, 7 years old, my dad ripping off the covers. Hey, come on, we're gonna go work. And even if he just sat me on a bucket while he's doing construction work, it was always either teaching me a skill or always reminding me to work on other skills so that I wouldn't be there in that same position. And so even from a young age, it's been about discipline, and not discipline as in like, what do you have to do now so that you don't have to do it later? And unfortunately, this kind of mentality didn't kick in until I was 21, 22. I kind of like partied myself out, set myself back, definitely. But as long as you're in that mindset and you have good people around you that continue to discipline you in different ways, I went to drastic measures, and I put like my TV away. I put my Xbox up for a very long time. And even though I sacrificed some per se entertainment, I had work to do. And then so like as soon as I finished that work and I was able to, reintroduce these things and have discipline with them, now whenever I watch TV, it gives me so much more satisfaction. It gives about the same satisfaction as, a good day's worth of work. And I always like to say and give people that there's 5 pointers that I like to hit every single day, whether it's financial, physical, emotional. Dang, I always go blank with these. So we got physical, emotional, spiritual,
Is it
financial.
financial? Is it personal and relationship?
And I think one of those is emotional. Yeah. And so if we can hit all 5 of these points throughout the day, like, hey, did I make money today? Did I spend some time meditating today? Did I go and reach my loved ones today? And if you just hit these 5 points every day and you just make yourself a system, it doesn't matter if one day you made a little bit less money than the others. As long as you were fulfilling each task and you're putting a little bit of water in each cup, you'll have enough to drink throughout the day. Like, I
I
don't like
love
to
that.
see everyone kind of always has that whole, half empty, half full. Well, we really can't pour from empty glasses, and we really shouldn't pour from cups that are overflowing all the time, because then you end up with an empty glass. And so having the discipline to have these boundaries, like, hey, I'm having a fun time here, but I can put that aside for later. You're always going to have those times. So thank you guys
Mm-hmm.
for Jocelyn for her story and just for the opportunity to come up and speak.
Yes, I
Thank
love
you
that.
for
Thank you for
sharing.
sharing. Right. I have to hop off. I have a client sitting right here looking at me on Zoom. So we've been trying to keep this short until we get used to doing it. And it turns out we like these 20, 30 minutes. So Christian, thank you for coming on. Jocelyn, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Linda, I'll let you close up.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for the Success Habits as a byproduct of discipline. And we will be here every week on Tuesday at 11. And find us in the More Than Mindset group on Facebook to follow us and keep track with us and see what we're doing next.
We also have a companion podcast called More Than Mindset. So it's pretty much More Than Mindset all the way across the board. On Clubhouse, we have a More Than Mindset Club. And I have a book that's coming out. We're actually renaming the one that I have now. And then you can find us on Facebook and all social media outlets. Thanks, Linda, for joining, for co-hosting. Appreciate it. Thank you all for joining.